In the darkest corners of Los Angeles, a gruesome crime occurred in 1947 that's remained unsolved to this day and has been dubbed one of the most gruesome murders in history. So grab your magnifying glass and let's travel back in time to where it all began. On the fateful morning of January 15, 1947, a chilling fog hung over the quiet Limerick Park neighborhood of Los Angeles. The air was thick with a sense of foreboding. Beknownst to the residents, a horrifying scene was about to unfold that would leave a mark in the community and capture the attention of the world. Betty Bersinger, a young mother, was taking her usual morning walk with her 3-year-old daughter, Anne. As they turned a corner onto a residential street, Betty noticed something unusual lying in a vacant lot. It appeared to be a mannequin, pale and lifeless, discarded by someone in the night. Betty cautiously approached the object. To her horror, she quickly realized that it wasn't a mannequin at all. Shaken, Betty Bersinger raced to a nearby house to call the police. As news of the ghastly discovery spread, reporters and curious onlookers descended on the crime scene like vultures, drawn to the morbid spectacle. The victim was soon identified as 22-year-old aspiring actress Elizabeth Short. The body of Elizabeth Short, the Black Dahlia, bore the marks of an exceptionally sadistic and calculated killer. Her body had been severed at the waist, with her upper and lower halves arranged about a foot apart. The precision of the cut suggested that the killer had a knowledge of human anatomy, as it was made along the second lumbar vertebra, leaving the internal organs mostly undamaged. Her face had been mutilated with deep cuts that extended from the corners of her mouth to her ears, creating the Glasgow smile. Additionally, her body was covered in numerous cuts and lacerations, and some of her flesh had been removed, leaving her body in a state of horrific disfigurement. The killer had also taken a great care to drain her body of blood entirely. The absence of blood at the crime scene suggested that Short was killed elsewhere, and her body had been thoroughly cleaned before being transported to the vacant lot. The official cause of death was determined to be hemorrhage and shock due to the numerous lacerations on her face and the concussion caused by repeated blows to the head. The pain and suffering that Elizabeth Short endured in her final moments are unimaginable. The cold and calculated nature of the Black Dahlia murder, combined with the brutal and sadistic injuries inflicted upon Elizabeth Short, make this case one of the most gruesome and chilling unsolved murders in history. Black Dahlia reportedly originated from a pharmacist who saw Short frequently at his store. He coined the name due to her penchant for black clothing and the recent release of the film noir The Blue Dahlia. Elizabeth Short was born in Boston, Massachusetts on July 29, 1924. Her family was shattered by the Great Depression, leading her father to abandon them in 1930. Short went to live with him in California. They had a falling out, and Short moved to Los Angeles to pursue her acting dreams. Throughout her time in LA, Short was known to be somewhat of an enigma. She was strikingly beautiful, with raven black hair and a penchant for dark clothing. Her personal life was a mystery, and she seemed to have an uncanny ability to attract admirers. The air of mystique only fueled the fascination with her case. The investigation and false confessions. As the LAPD grappled with the gruesome reality of the Black Dahlia case, the investigation took on a life of its own. It was a race against time to find a killer before they could strike again. Little did they know that the case would become an endless maze of false leads, false confessions, and heart-wrenching dead ends. From the moment the news broke, hundreds of tips poured into the LAPD from people claiming to have information about the killer. In fact, the LAPD conducted over 750 investigations related to the Black Dahlia case in the first 3 years alone. The investigators followed every lead, no matter how insignificant, leaving no stone unturned in their pursuit of justice. The case took an unexpected turn when the killer themselves decided to engage with the police and the media. A mysterious package arrived at the Los Angeles Examiner's office, containing Elizabeth Short's birth certificate, photographs, and an address book. The items had been carefully cleaned, leaving no trace of the killer's identity. This taunting gesture only served to fan the flames of public interest and media frenzy. Over 150 people came forward claiming to be the killer, each with their own bizarre and sometimes absurd reasons for the crime. The detectives had to sit through these confessions, trying to separate the truth from the lies. They were forced to follow up on each one, even when the stories seemed far-fetched or downright impossible. The genuine suspects in the case were no less intriguing. Dr. George Hodel, a wealthy physician, emerged as a prime suspect. His own son, a former LAPD detective, even accused him of the crime. Another suspect was nightclub owner Mark Hansen, who had connections to the underworld and a rumored relationship with Elizabeth Short. Despite the suspicions and circumstantial evidence, none of these suspects were ever charged with the crime. The years went by, and the investigators' hopes of solving the case began to fade. Each new lead seemed to evaporate into thin air, leaving them with more questions than answers. The unsolved nature of the case and the harrowing details of the crime would ensure that the Black Dahlia story would continue to haunt the public's imagination for decades to come. The enduring legacy of the Black Dahlia. Elizabeth Short, forever known as the Black Dahlia, has become a symbol of the dark side of Hollywood, where dreams can turn into nightmares and unspeakable horrors can lurk in the shadows. The unsolved nature of the Black Dahlia case has led to its enduring legacy. Books, movies, and TV shows have been inspired by the mystery, further cementing the case in the annals of true crime history. The investigation has been revisited numerous times, with new theories and suspects surfacing regularly, but the case remains open and unsolved. As we conclude our journey into the dark and twisted world of the Black Dahlia case, we're left with more questions than answers, which have become a reminder of the darker side of humanity that still haunts us to this day. So the next time you find yourself walking the streets of Los Angeles, remember the chilling tale of the Black Dahlia and the unsolved mystery that's captivated the world for decades. And who knows, perhaps one day the truth will finally be revealed.